What's the difference between DIY and doing it yourself? It's the difference between a part-time passion and a full-time business. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker. With a website that fits your unique vision and the business tools you need to succeed. Let your ideas flow with AI that guides you, but keeps you in the driver's seat. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Do it yourself. Go to Wix.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, die-in time is here. That's right. We're talking about Hide and Go Shriek. I'm not fucking kidding you. On Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from Fine Furniture on 2nd and San Pedro. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we're dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. So we're going to unpack all the goriest details of 1988's Hide and Go Shriek in the hopes that a recent high school graduate's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes that we might make at their expense. And of course, there's only one person I trust to leave my green onions alone in the employee fridge. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
Hold on a second. I was working on something. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. Please let me know if I can be of any further assistance. Very true yours.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, this is my resignation letter as your co-host for these past 9 years. I cannot take it anymore.
We were bound to reach a stage, though, Gina, where if we're going to talk about an 80s slasher, that we've reached the bottom of the barrel here. And I agree with you. You should be angry at me. Everyone should be angry at me. But also, who else is talking about Hide and Go Shriek, Gina?
Well, you got me there. You definitely got me there.
It's just one of those things where I always reflexively reach for something that we haven't covered quite yet, especially when we're in this glut of good to great horror movies. And so if we're going to be talking about all these classics and these excellent films, we also have to be on the flip side of that coin, occasionally talking about the worst film we've ever discussed.
I suppose you make a compelling point. I will stay on a little longer.
Okay, maybe I can win you back into the fold.
You're going to have to put a ping pong table in the employee cafeteria.
You also, you're a party to the group note that has our schedule on it, and I have seen that it is on the table. We're talking about Food of the Gods. That is, I would argue, while better lit, a worse film than this. But I don't want to scare you any more than I already have, Gina. We're not alone. That's right. We have special guests, and you know them from their Inside the Idiot Box let me take that again. That's right. We have special guests. You know them from the Inside the Idiot Box podcast. And more importantly, they are returning champions to Kill by Kill. The ones, the onlys, Dennis Satterfield and Scot Burklin. How are you doing today, gentlemen?
Oh, what is up, fuckers?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Hide and Go Shriek, so I feel like, that question answers itself. Gina, I believe you're doing the right thing, and I would like to follow suit and resign as well.
Thank you for your support.
I'm going to go in for early retirement if possible. taking that golden parachute out of this.
Yeah, can somebody buy me out of my contract, please?
Unbelievable.
Now, previously, we'd had you on board the show for films that had taken place in and around theme parks because of a reason we will not discuss here, but primarily because you are very old and dear friends of mine that I know to be very funny. But there are only so many of those films. We were going to run out of them very quickly. And I figured the best replacement for something like Final Destination 3 and Kiss versus the whatever the fuck they were fighting. Time.
Bad
relevance?
ideas? I don't know.
Kiss versus the grand opening of Colossus.
Is, of course, a bunch of doofuses staying overnight in their father's furniture store with the idea that they'll just fuck in separate corners and then they just find themselves in the middle of a lover's spat that spills over into bloodshed.
All while being watched by mannequins. Very important.
Yes.
But not like fun mannequins, not mannequins that are going to turn into Kim Cattrall, just like
Right. No,
mannequins.
That was the note that I had. I was like, I'll even take a Christy Swanson, like Mannequin 2 on the Move appearance.
I don't think we get anything akin to that kind of fun or hijinks in this. It is rather dire. And I had a flashback while watching this of myself. I had rented this when I worked in a video store and were just going through the horror section from Alien to Z. And I remember laughing uproariously at how stupid this was. And then as I watched it this time, a part of my soul atrophied. I couldn't believe how truly entertainless it was.
The humor was gone, but the stupid remained.
Yes.
Quick notes before we get into the plot. Yes, this will be an episode where we talk about the plot because I'm not sure what else we talk about. Director Skip Skulnick ended up having a weirdly long career in this industry as a TV director, editor, post-production supervisor on things you have heard of before. So this was not the end of his career, weirdly enough. The movie filmed in under 3 weeks for $200,000, primarily in one location, an abandoned warehouse in downtown LA. It's as glamorous as it sounds. And director Skulnick actually came on board just before shooting began because the previous director, quote, did not want to be there.
That makes all of us.
Yes, exactly. I think he speaks for everyone.
This was part of like a low budget package that these producers had put together. They were going to hire one crew and just go 3 weeks on, 1 week off, and just crank out movies. And it ended after the film after this, which is I'm never going to force anyone on this show to watch. It's called Frankenstein General Hospital. Can someone explain that joke to me? Because it is supposed to be a comedy, and it does not feel like one, as a joke has not been made.
Yeah, but I'm sold on that title, though.
So is what you're saying, Patrick, the next time you call Dennis and I back, it's going to be for Frankenstein General Hospital? Is that what I'm
Probably.
reading into this?
Yes, and that Gina will not be joining us because she's done with this shit.
She quit years ago on this very night.
I'm down for Frankenstein General Hospital. Is it a general hospital for Frankensteins? Or
I don't
is
know.
it a general hospital where all the doctors are Frankensteins? And when I say Frankensteins,
good
I mean
question.
the monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Prognosis is bad.
I don't know that this movie exists in a form in which it can be seen.
Oh.
Like, I own a Blu-ray of this film. Why? I don't know. Perhaps I should not have adult money if this is the way I choose to spend.
I own a Blu-ray of Manos, The Hands of Fate, so, I can't, color myself much better.
This is true. And of course, once upon a time, I had a DVD of Battlefield Earth shipped across the Pacific Ocean to myself. That's how much I enjoyed that film.
That was a mutual love that Patrick and I had. I mean, there's bad films, and then there's our generation's Plan 9. And I know this is not Battlefield Earthcast, but just got to get that plug in there.
And we never really learned the answer to the question, want lunch, with
That's
a
right.
rat held over our head.
Does Barry Pepper want lunch or not? Like, somebody answer this.
I want to interrupt this conversation to tell you that Frankenstein General Hospital is available for viewing.
Oh,
Absolutely unsurprisingly on Tubi.
Hey, all right.
For all your crap needs.
So, if you want to support News Corp and Frankenstein General Hospital, there's two evil sources that we can funnel our eyeballs into.
It stars Mark Blankfield, he of Jekyll and Hyde together again.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Wow.
I haven't heard that title in years.
Wow. Yeah. The lead, which is a slightly more recognizable cast member than is in this. So,
but it does have repeat cast member from this, Bunky Jones.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
As skinny topless girl.
Yes.
Yes.
I couldn't be bothered to learn the character name, so that's what she is.
And as far as I'm aware, Frankenstein General Hospital is the last appearance on camera of Bunky Jones. I don't know if she ascended into heaven on a chariot of the gods or a gold Rolls Royce like at the end of the apple. Who's to say?
I was surprised when I IMDb'd her that she didn't have the credit that at least one other cast member had, which was pictorial. And I was like, oh, I know where this is going. Spoiler alert.
Just a couple other unfun facts about the movie. The special makeup effects for the film were done by the legendary Screamin' Mad George, who went on to bigger and better things. He's the guy who made the shunting effects for Society and the cockroach sequence for Nightmare on Elm Street for The Dream Master.
Yeah, and there are, I mean, we'll get to it obviously as we go kill by kill. See what I did there? But there's some surprisingly good stuff in this from a practical effects standpoint. So I was trying to cling on to that as my lifeboat while watching.
Well, there's one element that makes for great practical effects at play here in this movie, and that is there's almost no lighting.
No, this is lit with flashlights.
Yeah.
Yes,
this is lighting courtesy of a 9-volt battery, I think was my note.
It was like lit by a clock radio. Now, Gina asked earlier today if the entire cast was under 12 because I had sent her a picture of the character Sean. And I just want to let the audience know, A, yes, the character of Sean definitely looks 12. But B, only one of the actresses cast in this film was the girlfriend of Shakedown and Night Move singer Bob Seger.
Yes, thank you. And coincidentally, also the one that appears the oldest and the one that has pictorial on their IMDb credit.
That's right.
Yeah, she gives off pictorial energy, I would say. Apparently, at one point, Mr. Seeger found out that she had been grabbed on the ass by one of the cast members, which was something that was written into the script. And when he called the director to say, what the fuck is happening over there, he asked, Mr. Seeger, I don't know you, you don't know me, but have you read the script to this movie? And he never heard from Bob Seger again. So if you want to get rid of Bob Seger, have him read the script to Hide and Go Shriek.
Like, if you need me, I'll be working on my night moves.
Just in case you need Bob Seger extermination help somewhere.
Oh.
Okay. One last thing before we start, because this is a genuine thing. Okay. As we begin to talk about this movie, you might notice some stuff. And I'm here to tell you from every interview, article, news source that I could gather, this film kind of wants the queerness of one of the aspects of the film to be what sets it apart from other slasher films. But the film also does not understand queerness in any aspect at all.
Zero.
No.
There might as well be unicorns on screen. This is some straight white guy's very grand misunderstanding of what queerness might be.
Yeah, it's basically just like, well, nothing else about this movie is original in any way, shape, or form, so let's try this.
Yeah. It's a stretch.
You had warned me in advance, Patrick. I think you had warned Dennis and I went into it thinking I'm really hoping this is like a shockingly progressive moment for 1988, and sadly it's not.
No. And I don't think they're even trying to be politically incorrect. I just think they are struggling to do anything that might make this different from the cookie cutter slasher movie that it is. And so it fits easily into a subgenre of films in which a queer villain's primary motivation is to kill off straights. And quite frankly, I wish this guy was better at it.
Yeah, he's really not very good when you look at the end body count.
No, he seems to miss a lot of people that he should have killed. And I'm using he, him pronouns because there's no aspect to this movie that actually projects genuine transness to this character. It is that, I don't know, gender identity is a prison and he's free of it. I don't know.
I was honestly, to make it slightly serious for a second, I was kind of glad they didn't go there, because I was like, that's not a thing I need to see in this, day and age and moment in time, is this anti-trans sentiment. So fortunately they didn't go that route, but they clearly just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. They want him to be able, and a slight setup for this. This is in a furniture store in the middle of the night. These kids sneak in because they're going to party there and fuck. And for whatever reason, the furniture store is full of mannequins fully dressed because, as one character says, my dad wants everything to feel lived in. And so there's too many mannequins, all dressed in all of these costumes. And so he freely borrows those costumes and the kids' clothes that they brought to the furniture store just, because they come clothed. And he bounces between male and female. But I don't think the movie considers that in any way, shape, or form anything other than, I don't know, don't gay men do this? Like, their only concept of this is the main joke in Three's Company. That John Ritter's character is supposedly gay. That's as far into queer culture as they've progressed.
And we don't get a Mr. Roper, sadly, to counterbalance. So
and I just thought that with him dressing as the clothes of the character that he kills is just to fool the other characters.
It's more of a terror
I didn't even think of in those terms that's trying to say something about the weird stuff that gay men do.
This is more a thing that has now come into it as people of younger generations have encountered the film. I don't think it's something inherent to the actual making of the movie or the script or a point. It is just to terror train these kids by, you don't know who's coming after you. Is that a guy? Is that a mannequin? Because his interpretation of how a woman acts is also insane.
It's to run by the camera, dimly lit by the 9-volt battery aforementioned, and to giggle.
Yeah. To giggle.
Yes.
To giggle in a manner that does not convey delight nor femininity.
Yes, neither of those things.
Gina, I've got a question for you.
Sure.
Do I smell bad?
Patrick, I live in New York City. You're 2,000 miles away from me, and as annoying that is, I cannot answer this question.
So your answer is maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, because you really have been spending a lot of time these past 2 weeks just really talking up Mando to our listeners.
Gina, as always, you're absolutely right. There's a reason I've been talking to our listeners so much about Mando. It's the physician-created deodorant system clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. Even before they were a sponsor for our show, I was a customer already, and I can honestly say that Mando really works.
We joke on the show about all sorts of dirty peanuts, but no one wants to smell like a dirty peanut in real life. You don't want to smell like fish toilet or anything like that.
No, you do not want to smell like a Jason Voorhees fish toilet in your work life, in your private life.
Definitely not your private life.
No. And that's why, for example, today I doubled up on Mando. In the shower, I used the Pro Sport body wash, and then afterwards I put on some bourbon leather spray deodorant, which I just learned is aluminum free, and I can use it from toe to tip to smell fresher, longer, and the scents are quite pleasant to the nose.
So you're leaving like stink lines, but like the opposite of stink lines. You're leaving this guy smells great lines.
I'm leaving the kind of scent lines that are, unhoused hobos are floating off of trains and floating behind me like I'm an apple pie on a windowsill.
You're like a freshly baked pie by a widow.
Sure.
Lovingly set out to cool.
Yes. And here's the thing. I love Mando for a lot of reasons, but their offer here, I think, makes a lot of sense, whether or not you're already a customer or you're just trying it out for the first time. What you want to do is head to shopmando.com today and pick out what they're calling the Mando Starter Pack for yourself. Each starter pack gets you a solid stick deodorant, the scent of your choice, same thing with a cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes. Even better, you'll get 40% off your purchase when you use the code KILLPOD. That's SHOPMANDO.com and enter KILLPOD at checkout to earn $5 off the starter pack of your choice. Plus, you get free shipping, Gina. Please, everybody, support the show. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando.
All right. You can whisk me. I want to smell like a fresh baked pie by a widow, so I am going to right now.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm going.
All right, there we go. Don't worry, folks. A fresher smelling body count is about to continue.
No offense, but your brain is a terrible place to keep your big idea. It belongs in the world, but you know that already. You have a calling, a voice that says, this is what I'm meant to do. Create the website your big idea deserves with Wix. Make it your own with top-to-bottom customization, AI to help realize your vision, and built-in business tools to turn your daydream into your dream job. Wix supports every stage of the business journey except one. Your decision to begin. Ready? Go to Wix.com.
So let's get into it. We open on a very hazy afternoon in downtown LA. You know, back when downtown LA had lots of parking by the looks of things. And we see a man in a suit using an automatic razor. You know, the most frightening of all razors. But he's also putting on a shade of blush. So that, it actually, if I'm being honest, just feels too warm for his complexion, at least in this light.
With what we could see from, again, a very poorly lit film, I thought he was going for like a Gary Newman Cars video thing at first.
Sure.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Fade to Black when he's putting the makeup on.
Totally. Yeah,
I don't know,
totally.
I don't know if that was intentional, but it's what it reminded me of.
It just served to make you think I could be watching a much better horror movie right now.
It's that old joke about don't make me wish I was watching a better movie than this movie.
Exactly.
But he is in an insanely dingy apartment, which is probably also the abandoned warehouse that was mentioned earlier. He's wearing a 3-piece suit to do what, you ask? I guess put on a fedora and then head to the Pan Am desk to fly to Malaysia like Indiana Jones. Why is he so dressed up?
Well, when you're picking up sex workers in broad daylight, what appears to be 2:00 in the afternoon, when the big time to pick up sex workers off the street, you want to look your best.
True.
What would have been awesome is if the whole time he was moving through the furniture store, we got like the map Chiron with the little dotted line showing where he was going.
Sure. He has to make mischief and swear to the map.
Sofas to easy chairs. You could cut the tension with a knife.
So yeah, he goes on the hunt for sex workers. Some of them very obviously look in the window and shudder in fear. I don't know why, because he just, again, looks like Gary Newman out picking up a sex worker. And he settles on one with the most prominent clavicles I've seen in a minute. I don't mean to body shame, but the dress she's wearing is highlighting clavicle.
Very clavicle forward.
Why she gets into the car when everyone else reacts like Freddy Krueger is on the prowl, I'm not sure. Must be a slow night. Anywho, all these other people were right, because when we smash cut to them having sex in the middle of the alley, apparently he really knows how to show a girl the sights. He stabs her in the stomach.
Yep.
And she crumples onto a patch of recently cleaned concrete. How do I know that? Because all around her is unclean concrete.
Yes. And you can tell that was probably the one concession that actress got, and she had to complain to everybody and their brother just to get him to do that.
There's literally a white outline of where she is, and everywhere else is just full of garbage and grime, but they have steam cleaned that cement that she is laying down on.
So here's, like, without jumping, straight to the major plot twist, what was profoundly confusing to me was, all of these other plucky teens that, go through this experience were clearly meant to be obstacles between, the killer and his end goal.
Yeah.
Except her. So I was like, what is her deal? Or is the implication that this other character was sleeping with her, but that's never said? So I was like, how did she draw the short end of the stick here?
I know. He's fucking crazy. It's pretty much that he's fucking crazy. Right? He's a murderer.
So you're saying, Dennis, you would have screamed, I would have gotten in the car, is what you're getting
Exactly.
Me and my clavicles.
I think they needed a cold open. They thought of this, and it has almost no connection to the other events of the film. It is simply to show a murder in the first 2 minutes to tell the audience, I know it's going to take a really long time for other people to die, but at least you saw clavicle lady get it.
And in a world of, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets at that point in 88, you want like a good slit throat or something. No, he just kind of stabs her and you don't really see much effects work other than she gets blood all over that nice clean concrete.
Right. Yes. They cleaned it off. She's going to muck it up again with some Caro syrup. They then go to the opening credits, which as was alluded to only moments ago, white type on black, very Friday the 13th. We come out of this, and I will say, going back here, Gina, this might be 2 movies in a row, this and Dramaniac, that the best part of the movie is the logo. I mean, Dramaniac has one of the best logos we've seen in a while, and it is a truly regrettable motion picture.
I was going to say, you were saying that you looked up, to see if there was anything else about this online, and it is very much proof positive. What I did come across was proof that there are a lot of horror fans that will absolutely say that anything is good.
Yes.
Like there's just there's nothing they will not, there's nothing they will say, this isn't a good movie. I mean, God loves them, but just
Right.
no standards whatsoever.
I think it delivers something that they want, regardless of any of its other non-merits.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case, because it's got one decent kill and some not very impressive breasts. That's about that checks off a short list of things they need for it to be considered a good horror movie.
As I was mentioning before, though, the one element that I think excels here is also the one element that excels in Dramaniac, which is the title treatment. It never gets better than that title treatment.
It looked really good on the rental box.
Yes. So we smash cut out of the titles into a close-up of a gentleman pumping the irons. And listen, I'm not one to judge. I've had a few regrettable haircuts, but this 90s Image Comics looking do this guy has is truly something to behold. Like, you've got front tendrils, pushed back near mullets, and then a triangle part where the front part is so wide that he has like an anti-Eddie Munster going on in his forehead.
I've never seen a reverse widow's peak before.
It's like he's gained a wife in this peak. It's going into his skull. This character is named John. John is played by a guy who would go on to actually act in other things. He was the bad guy in Karate Kid 3, and he was on General Hospital and Bold and Beautiful. He had a really long soap opera career.
Yeah,
So good
still,
for him.
I might still be doing one of those soaps, but yeah, somewhere up in the 800, 900 episode range.
Yeah, he is worked for his money. So good for him.
He has done so many general hospitals. He probably crossed over into Frankenstein General Hospital at some point.
So at some point, he had to have had that plot line.
I would imagine.
If you hang around long enough, you eventually end up in Frankenstein General Hospital.
You're eventually going to reach Frankenstein General Hospital. Like it's an annex of the regular General Hospital. So John and David are, I guess it's arm day. But
I mean, how else do you telegraph that but 15-pound weight? So
Yes.
totally.
David is more excited to get his workout pal in the showers. They're not at a gym. This is a very private residence. So I'm assuming he's talking about getting him into the same shower. He even tempts him at one point with a half-eaten banana. So maybe this movie knows something about queer culture.
I mean,
Or it knew something about those two. I mean,
Yes, it's definitely alluding to something. We learn in the sequence that John's dad owns a furniture store where all four of the couples we will eventually meet will be fucking in later that night. And I just want to state for the record, we're not at the store yet, but I just have to get this out here. I have a real problem with the idea of having sex in public sheets.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. I had mentioned this to you, Patrick, when I was watching it earlier, that, I was a very boring teenager who had a very boring life. And even I would not be as just absolutely over the moon excited about spending the night in a furniture store as these people are. They are carrying on like they're about to spend the day at Six Flags.
Yes.
They're literally jumping up and down with excitement at the idea of sleeping in a furniture store.
well, and it's weird too, because they're in LA, like they're not trying to hide that fact. And I go, you could have done this in, the Midwest or someplace where you go, okay, I could buy that, it's boring there. Or maybe they would, a furniture store would be something, but yeah, they're in LA. Like go to the Viper Room or something, for God's sake.
If you just went 10 minutes up the 101, you could be doing something cool.
Yeah, hang out
But
at Six
no.
Flags. Like, come on.
So I'm going to send you to a picture. Gina already has this, but this has to be seen to be believed. I'll put this on our socials. This individual socks. This is Kim. And
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I had
Yes.
those
It's
socks. They were called wigwams. I
okay.
used to wear those.
Oh, all right. Thank
Slouch
God.
sock, non-slouch sock.
But the bottom half is a regular sock, and the top half is a slouchy sock that's akin to a leg warmer, which I felt might have been out of date by 1988,
No.
but not according to this film.
No, I don't think it. You wore them over the stirrup pants. I definitely remember
I
those.
I feel like maybe the director was making a comment about like we've got one foot still in the 80s, but we're heading towards the 90s.
Yeah.
It's very cerebral.
I'm afraid you've put 3 more seconds of thought into this framing than the director.
That sentence was more than was written in the screenplay.
Yeah. The screenplay was focus on legs, also pink cassette recorder in the background.
Yes.
Must show ruffles.
Diesel never go out of style.
Kim is inside talking to a different friend, Bonnie, but we'll get to them later. First, I want to talk about who arrives in a white rabbit convertible. That's Judy and Melissa. And you can tell them apart because they're not occupying the same space.
Yes.
Otherwise, they're
Yeah,
the same.
I had a real problem keeping track of who all these characters were and what their
Oh
names were.
God!
So
I'm
bad.
so glad it wasn't just me. They're so nondescript. The Sean was about the only one I could track because he was clearly like they were trying to cast a circa Midnight Madness Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, he
Right.
seems
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's about 10 years younger than everybody else
Yeah.
in this cast.
That was a note that I made that I was like, this movie is one Eddie Deason away from being Midnight Madness.
The only thing that would have made this a genuine horror movie is if you introduced an Eddie Deason into the mix.
Yes.
And then Eddie Deason's Puppet from 1941.
Well, I think then you cross into laser blast territory where Leonard Maltin will at least give you like 3 stars in the rating.
Oh my God. Laser Blast got how many stars?
I think it was 3.
3. God damn. That is a terrible, terrible movie. But miles better than this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Things happen in Laser Blast.
That's right. At one point, he blows up a Star Wars sign as if to say, fuck you, Star Wars. We're
George
Laser
Lucas.
Blast. The balls.
Insert shot of George Lucas with single tear rolling down his face.
I gave them so much. I don't know why they're so angry at me. I giveth you Walrus Man, and this is what you bring back?
Laughing through his little frog goiter.
Oh. Mopping off tears with $100 bills.
Exactly.
Also, Melissa, this is how you can tell them apart. Melissa's wearing overalls. And Bonnie is dressed like Lisa from Freddy's Revenge. Pastel button down, long ass tan shorts. They look like they're arriving to help somebody move. These are not party outfits.
No, they're furniture store party outfits.
No.
Yeah. Inside this residence, supposedly, are the girl with the loosest socks I've ever seen, Kim. And she's haranguing her friend who is about to get married and going to college. The 2 sins of being a woman.
Always a good idea.
Her name is Bonnie.
And Kim is 10 years older than all the other kids, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. good.
She's that kid that just keeps failing senior year and, just keeps hanging
she's
around.
just the female version of like the one guy everybody has in their senior class has a full mustache in the yearbook.
Right.
And much more mature.
She's just a little more mature. I mean, she's going through high school in the GI Bill from go-go dancing during the Vietnam War. That being said, she is a gorgeous lady and everything. And yes, she is Bob Seger's girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And was featured in Pictorial.
she was.
Where pictorial? Who's to say? But more pictorial than I've ever been featured in.
You could probably guess.
It was Playboy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's important to note that Bonnie, who is about the size of a wafer, and she has an acting style that can only be described in one word: subtle. And by that, I mean she's never heard of what that is. She has emotions, everybody, and she's just going to display them, whatever they happen to
the
be.
noise that came out of me when she does a whole, I don't understand. I just made some sort of like cackle, choking, gargle noise.
She had that, and then she gets one good
She is half crying. She's half scared, but also she's fully histrionic in moments which she's supposed to be quiet. And like Gina, your evaluation of her was right on.
Yeah, she makes Barbara from My Living Dead look like Ripley as far as usefulness and capability and bravery and just being helpful in a situation.
They are just dragging her around at a certain point, but we'll get to it because right now what's really important is the fact that Judy is a virgin. And the solution for this quote unquote problem is that these 4 couples are going to stay overnight inside a closed furniture store.
Of course, the best place to lose your virginity.
Yes. Oh, I was about to ask the group, did any of you happen to lose your V card inside a closed furniture store?
No.
I lost my wallet in a department store once. Does that count?
Possibly. I got lost inside the old Burbank IKEA, and that was a really small one.
It's very easy to get lost in an IKEA.
I was not in a furniture store, but there were mannequins. So I don't know. I don't know where that places me.
They were all watching.
What was the other movie we did a while back, Patrick, where like all these characters were like absolutely agog and shocked that an 18-year-old is still a virgin?
Oh my God.
Was it Embrace of the Vampire? I think.
Oh yeah.
Where it was like all they could harp on was that she was still a teenager but had not lost her virginity yet. This was like, this must be rectified immediately.
Yeah, they treated her like patient zero, like virginity was catching.
Well, that's how I was with the whole wedding thing. I was like, what? What is happening? You just graduated from high school. No.
Yes. It is important for everyone at home to know, because you should not watch this movie, that all 8 of these characters have supposedly just graduated from high school, from the oldest one at 28 to the youngest one at 13.
Yeah, it's some sort of like, one of those like, Quaker schools where everybody's like just in the same grade.
It's a Montessori high school of some sort. It is. It's a one-room schoolhouse, wherever the hell they happen to be.
They did a barn raising for this furniture store right before the movie started.
And the reveal of like, oh, she's a virgin and she's scared to have sex. Melissa says, hey, don't worry about it. Just be yourself. And she should know about being yourself, because throughout this entire movie, Melissa is wearing yellow and pink brontosaur earrings.
Yes. I love them. I love them.
As you do.
I would not say that just being yourself is the perfect advice for losing your virginity. Personally, from my standpoint, I think you should try to be an international super spy when you have sex for the first time, like me.
I would agree with that assessment.
It just makes sense. We then meet 2 other teens. Randy, who looks like the lowest resolution version of Max Headroom.
Yes. I wrote down discount Graham McPherson from Madness. I was waiting for the One Step Beyond video to start.
As always, audience, if you don't get a reference, just keep a Wikipedia page open and you can just knock in these references. I tell you, Google will have them for you. And then he is talking to Sean, who appears to be a middle school fetus.
Yes.
He just, for whatever reason, everyone else in the movie has gone through puberty and he has not.
He is all the Michael J. Fox, half the calories.
But he's also the one driving them around.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. He is treated as an equal, and like everyone accepts him for who he is. And it really feels like everyone else is obviously in their 20s and he is about 14. I keep edging him up in age just to not make it creepy.
He can't be older than 16, though.
No,
and that's, boy, when we get to the heat of things, that's what made it creepy for me. I was like, I can't watch this. This is wrong.
This movie does have a weird, I wouldn't say weird, I would say the only progressive element of it is that it shows nearly the amount of naked guy as it does naked girl.
That is true.
Yeah.
That being said, part of that is Sean, and it feels like I'm on a watch list now.
Yeah, it's like I didn't sign up to do Euphoria, Patrick. Come on.
Right before the SWAT team kicks in the door.
Just before. So now I'm going to send you another picture because, as always on Kill by Kill, we love to discuss a teenager's bedroom. And here we have in Bonnie's bedroom, because this can't possibly be Kim's, is a cacophony of the craziest fucking art we've ever encountered. Now, while there isn't an individual's 8x10, that's the only thing missing. There is one portrait of what appears to be a nude old man at the beach. Then one of a girl in a tennis outfit leaning over to pick up a tennis ball and exposing her yellow underwear. This is a teen girl's bedroom.
Yeah, it's like that. That's a girl does not normally sleep in that bedroom.
No.
Yeah, the failure for the characters to acknowledge this reminded me of Lost Boys and the poster that's hanging up in Corey Feldman's.
The beefcake Rob Lowe poster. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
where you're just the whole time you're going, is somebody going to say something? Or
like it's fine, but everyone else is in this movie is fine.
I just wanted Diane Weiss to go in there, just kind of look concerned, and then decide, no, that was not the right time to bring it up. We just moved here. This is a lot.
Or just him, Corey, to just kiss it and go hair goals and move on.
Exactly.
That would be fine. That would be perfectly acceptable because by the looks of things, he's obviously modeled himself after Rob Lowe in the hair department. But there's no other point to him having the sexiest version of Rob Lowe hanging over his bed where he masturbates.
Yes, and this was no different with that tennis phone. I just kept staring at it going like, you guys see this, right? Just like none of your friends say anything? Come on.
Please, someone acknowledge it exists. Also, what caught my eye is this art project that's on her dresser, which is like an abstract portrait of what I assume is Professor X calling his X-Men. just a guy's face, bald, with lightning coming out of his eyes.
It's either that or she's like freehanding a character from Yellow Submarine. I'm not sure which.
It is truly odd. Again, I want to reiterate this before we go any farther. You know when I said that this film does not understand queerness? It also might not get straights either. Because if someone told me a pet rock wrote the script of this movie, I would believe them.
Really, it's a film that understands no one or nothing.
Takes place in a fantasy world that no one can understand and no one can get behind. The movie is constantly cutting between medium and tight shots for zero rhyme or reason. There's a sequence where you have, I think it might be David and Sean, or I don't know, and they're yakking at one another, and it just keeps flipping from these two cameras, which are essentially at the same angle, but one is farther away than the other one. And it's like Skip Skolnick is telling you, listen, we're a real movie. We had two cameras.
He's like, well, they're already here. May as well give them motion sickness as well.
Yes. Oh, my God. At one point, the character David is picked up by another character, and the response is, no, don't do that. And I don't know why he sounds like a strangled Kermit character out of nowhere.
But David does that throughout the entire thing. It's like the director's off camera going, just the weirdest choices you can make. Just go with them.
Do one for you. Now do one for the person you hate.
Exactly.
Let's use
Not
that
just
one.
a silly one.
If you want me to believe that Randy got an extreme haircut, which is something the film posits over and over again, look at Randy's haircut. Look at Randy's haircut.
Can't figure out, like, I'm looking at him like, that just looks like a normal haircut.
Yeah,
like, everybody keeps like, it's so spiky. Don't get that hair near me. I'm like, that was spiky hair was a thing then?
But it's not, the weird thing is it's not really even spiked. Like I think of that sort of 80s.
Like the dippity-doo thing.
Yeah, like the sort of sting, wrapped around your finger. Like I'm going to put the dippity-doo in and just like get it as high and spiky. It's not even that.
No, it's definitely.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
It's time to turn your daydream into your dream job. Wix gives you the power to turn your passion into a moneymaker with a website that fits your unique vision and drives you towards your goals. Let your ideas flow with AI tools that guide you, but give you full control and flexibility. Manage your business from one dashboard and keep it growing with built-in marketing features. Get everything you need to turn your part-time passion into a full-time business. Go to Wix.com.
Combed back like the sides, which are truly combed back. It is an odd coiffure. That being said, if you're going to tell me over and over again, this is a really crazy haircut, you need to show me the previous haircut.
Yeah.
All right? This is not a thing. Stop making it a fucking thing.
Maybe they need to make a prequel where Randy has a long hair? Is that what you're asking for?
A Last American Virgin style prequel with all these characters in which we visit all their bedrooms so I can see what's doing in there, because that is the only interesting component of this film.
How and why did he change his name to Suds and join Madness? I need the backstory.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
That was the director's direction to them.
Yes. Pick it up, pick it up.
And none of them listened.
It's directed by a ska band.
That's why he has, suspenders on with jeans.
Exactly.
At one point, a character says, and I just stopped writing character names. Are we ready to embark on the adventure of our lives? And I would like to remind everyone, they're just going to a furniture store.
I used to say that every time my wife and I went to Levitt's, to be fair.
Yes, that's true.
But the Levitt's in Studio City was fucking banging, Scott.
Oh, that's true. Their freight elevator didn't get as much action as the one in this movie, but
That's true.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But when he does say, he announces to everyone, walk this way, they cue a Casio, please don't sue us version of Walk This Way. That is the only semi-recognizable song ever used in the entirety of the film.
I was waiting for the Simpsons blue-haired lawyer to pop up and go, to avoid legal issues, please sign this document saying you will not walk this way.
We are not associated with Aerosmith or pumping in any way, shape, or form. Please do not honk on the bobo in the premises. I've run out of Aerosmith albums to reference.
All that and more. Aaron, can you get my guitar? That one's for all you Disney fans out there.
And then enter Fred. Fred has real rad tats, feathered balding hair, and one dangly earring. Should I be scared shitless of him like Sean is? No. He looks really normal for 1988.
He does, and I think that's because, and this was the one piece of research for the most part I was able to get done because it's so hard to find information on this. Fred is Jeff Levine, who's a musician and a producer who went on to produce Face Off, Pitch Perfect, and Pitch Perfect 2. So,
yeah, he had a
couple of folks got
massively
careers out of it.
successful career, which it just goes to show you, if you collect any number of 10 people in Los Angeles in 1988, one of them was bound to hit.
One will amount to something.
It was too small of a town, unfortunately. But yes, everyone who sees Fred is like, oh my God, where's my wallet? Where are my keys?
They shrink away from him.
Yeah. He looks exceptionally normal.
He has eye bags. Ooh,
he looks like he hasn't been sleeping very well.
And he shouldn't be sleeping very well because we find where he's sleeping, which is in the murder basement of this furniture store. Now, one of the people who's not scared by Fred is John's dad.
Yes.
Who is John? He's Bonnie's girlfriend. What defines John? He ended up in Karate Kid 3. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
But John's dad in particular, I noticed several things about. A, his shoes make very loud clacking sounds because his heels are at least 2 fucking inches. He's wearing dress Prince shoes.
He's got them Trump lifts.
I haven't seen lifts like that since we watched Devil's Advocate, Gina.
Well, and to your point, Patrick, we know that is actually the sound that his shoes were making because it seems like there is 0 ADR in this film because most of it sounds like it's recorded at the bottom of an empty 2-liter Coke bottle.
Right.
Including the shoe clacking.
It's one of the rare films where the sound has been captured by 2 Pringle cans with a string attached to them. Now, in terms of John's dad, he has installed shatterproof windows in the store. That's important to know for later. And 3, he has a very liberal attitude towards ex-cons staying overnight inside of his business, especially if they've just broken up with their girlfriend.
Yes.
I just like how this coworker just talking shit about Fred, right in front of him.
He just has
Hi, Fred.
0 control. my penis shrinks right up into my body cavity when he's around. Oh, hey, Fred.
I think he's terrible. Good to see you, man.
I have nightmares about him at night. See you tomorrow, Fred.
Don't forget about the potluck next week. I think you should fire him.
Oh, my God.
Now, no discussion of Fred, I think, can be complete without a discussion of the dinner that he makes himself that we see in real time.
That we see every step of.
Yes, which consists of a handful of scallions thrown into a pan with a single slice of steak of meat.
Yes. I think A Handful of Scallions was a Madness album, wasn't it?
That was Graham McPherson's transition into science.
It's the only successful transition.
Yeah, and they show it in, like, they show him pour the oil in the pan, and then he goes to the fridge.
There's like a long, meaningful shot of the electric wok, like he's gonna like hit somebody over the head with it later, and
no,
it was not Chekhov's walk.
No,
it was not.
No one will be seated during the steak and meat sequence.
It was like a YouTube cooking video.
He takes that, and when we say handful, I mean a full,
he just takes
generous.
a whole bunch out of the refrigerator.
He likes his
12.
scallions.
12, because I have this in full 1080 HD, baby. I'm watching on a 4K uptick. There are 12 green onions. They're whole. He snaps them in half and just throws them on top of that one single slice of beef and walks away from it. Like, that'll take care of itself. That's what woks do.
This is, well, it's like putting something in the crock pot. Like, he's going to wake up tomorrow morning.
He's going to set it and forget
the basement will smell great. Like,
this is how I make weekly soups and oatmeal, where I just like, this will be enough for the entire week, and I just walk away from it. Unlike that, though, at a later point, he gets up from watching whatever Western he's viewing on the screen, whatever public access Western they've displayed. And he starts manipulating what's in this nonstick wok with a hunting knife.
Yes.
And the gasp that came out of me could have been heard in Orange County.
If you have a better way to cook steak and meat, Patrick, I'd like to hear it.
I do. Chop it the fuck up. Stop using so many green
Buy a
onions.
goddamn
At least dice them,
spatula.
for Christ's sakes. He's not even using the whites. The roots are attached to the bottom of the green onions. It is the most horrific image in the entire film.
I think he had Depression-era parents that were like, you use every part of the onion, sir.
that might be true. Like, the amount of green onions he carries downstairs to the murder basement, it looks like he's bringing a bouquet of flowers to somebody. It's just the sheer amount of it all.
Wow.
It also should be noted that he has a trunk filled with spurs, 7, I counted them, studded leather belts, and then one random chain.
Well, you want options, when you're dressing.
I mean, how many studded leather belts does one man need? I'm talking to you, Dennis.
I only have 3 of them. So
Sure.
To be fair.
But I switch them out quite often.
Right.
So,
well, you need options for occasions, but 7 feels like that's a lot.
Yeah, that's
how many
much. That's too
occasions
much.
does a person whose only cooking equipment is a nonstick wok need for leather belts?
And a Bowie knife.
That's why he doesn't have spatula money. He spent it all on belts.
That's right. Priorities, Patrick.
That's true.
Spent my spatula budget on leather belts.
I needed them at the time, but now that I'm looking back at it, I should budget
I really
better.
got to stop with the impulse belt purchases.
Hey, I have a question. Not to go back too far, but why does the furniture store close at 3:45 p.m.? Everybody's walking out. It's still like broad daylight.
I think because all of downtown LA closed at 3:45.
Running bankers hours.
It was the 80s, I guess.
That's when your furniture market dries up for the most part every day.
It's when the Nikkei closes in Japan and people just got to get out of there.
Is Fred making dinner or late lunch? I couldn't tell.
I could not tell, but he is in for the night. He is picked up supermarket wine and is having small sips of the brew while cooking that steakum with green onion. Now, my big question and believe it or not, we've only covered the first 30 minutes of the movie. Why did John trust these fuck knuckles in his dad's store? Because as soon as they walk in, they start fucking shit up.
And that's John's thing up until the end, is to go, hey, don't mess up anything in the store.
And everyone immediately starts touching shit.
Yeah.
But he's fine with them fucking in random beds in public shit.
Yeah, just, don't move the mannequins around or anything. Have all the sex you want.
This movie needs to establish its bona fides from its title. So as soon as they're in the place, Kim suggests they go and play hide and go seek inside an abandoned, massive, weirdly mannequin-filled store that is almost entirely dark.
Yes, and they give us an answer for that. It's almost like they know the lighting is bad. So one of the characters says, oh, we can't turn on the lights because we'll get caught.
They can't turn on lights they don't have. They've got one key light that will show up in every scene, pointed from one direction, and that's all they have.
That Dick's Sporting Goods campground light, and they're going to use that.
Right. Exactly.
Either that or they just kept driving a car around and pointing it at them and going, turn on the headlights.
Yeah, we don't know where any of these windows are. We rarely see them. Even when they're on the first floor, the only time you see the windows is when they have to be visible. So they all split up into different places, and we follow John and Bonnie, and it's revealed that John has set up a romantic rendezvous for the two of them, complete with warm champagne from a dresser drawer.
Yes.
Like we all desire it to be.
Nothing says romance.
He does not ask her if she would like to smell the plastic cap, but it's implied. And then he pops the champagne cork with zero sort of concept for, if I splash champagne all over these sheets, I am now messing up the fucking store.
Well, he can do it. He just doesn't want anybody else to. And they, because we might forget otherwise that Fred, is making dinner. We keep cutting back to him. And at one point, he's got one of those squeezy things. And I made a note that I was like, we were so concerned with our grip strength in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure why, but, they had to remind us that was very important back then.
It was the home gym of its time.
It really was.
Yeah, you couldn't get big machines, but you could get a hand squeezy thing. So while he's, making sure that his right is as powerful as his left, Kim finds John. I lost interest in the middle of that sentence. Moving on.
I had that reaction in the movie.
Just like they go around and they scare each other, and then they complain that they're scared, and then they try to scare other people, and the people who get scared, who scared other people, are like, don't do that. And you're like, why? Just start murdering people already.
Yeah, this is certainly the slowest paced slasher movie I have seen in a minute.
Weirdly enough, it's only 90 minutes, but I guess they filmed it next to a black hole because time begins to shrink and expand.
Well, to your earlier point, Patrick, that has to be the reason for the prostitute, is somebody knew if we don't do this at the beginning, like they're going to be bored out of their minds. And we still were bored out of our minds.
Legally, this has to be 90 minutes. Otherwise, we will not get our finishing funding.
It's still a good 30 minutes between the first teenager kill and when they first killed Cindy Lou Clavicles in the beginning.
Right.
It took way too damn long. I lost interest in that sentence as I was saying it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right there with
so
you.
let's go back to our favorite character, Sean. Sean is unsure whether or not he wants to have sex with Melissa, because that is the entire point of them being together in this store. And they both decide, let's just be friends. And then Melissa kisses Sean, and the heat is electric.
No, I think the blanket was electric. And
that's true. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think it was just thermostat was turned up a little too high in there.
If you ever wanted to see all the raw sexuality of body heat, but there's a 13-year-old boy involved, let me point you to Hide and Go Shriek. And in a movie where the gore effects are being done by Screaming Mad George, I personally think the grossest thing in the entire film is the way John eats a chicken drumstick. There's a lot of tongue involved.
There was way too much.
He's French kissing a drumstick into his, digestive system. Now, call me a stickler, but if your premise is dependent on the guy with dual-headed snake hand tattoos killing everyone, then you shouldn't show this other person who's very much the killer, who doesn't have any hand tattoos at all, doing all of the killer stuff, which is what happens in this film. At no point does it really pretend that Fred is doing this. This other killer with 0 hand tattoos is killing everybody.
Yeah, no, it's clearly like, obviously the kids are supposed to think that's the case, but the movie's like, we're going to make 0 effort to make you, the audience, think that that's the case.
I think it's really important for everyone to view the photo that I'm about to send.
Oh, dear.
And that is of Sean showing skin. But the way he's getting there is to take off the t-shirt he's been wearing for the majority of the film, which is Penguin Lust.
Yes, oh my God, I forgot that he's got the Berkeley breathed shirt on the whole time.
Like, he is about, if he were not murdered, he was going to have sex, and this is what he wore to do it.
Meanwhile, the Melissa, that's his sort of girlfriend.
Yes.
Like, she's just handed over a piece of lingerie that belongs to her friend. It's like, you don't wear your friend's lingerie.
Well, I don't think that any of these people have problems sharing space or having someone else's material touch their body, because they're, again, sleeping together, having sex, getting naked under sheets that the general public just has access to for at least 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yes, you could feel the sticky of this film coming out of the screen like it was 4D.
Quite visceral. Meanwhile, our killer dispatches poor Melissa and her brontosaurus earrings by bashing her head into a see-through sink until she dies.
Was I the only one hoping that there'd be like a Jason X moment here and we'd at least get like the liquid nitrogen and it would be remotely interesting as a kill?
This film cannot afford lights. I'm not really sure freezing a person's face is going to reach their budget metric. I know that this place is dark and all, but not dark enough to fool me into believing that our killer is Melissa when he prances across the screen and giggles past Sean.
Yes, in the aforementioned lingerie that he's taken from our poor dead Melissa.
This killer walks into the light in this negligee. He does not instantly recognize that it's not Melissa, despite the fact that our killer has more chest hair than 1977 Burklin.
I mean, it is his first time. Maybe he just thinks girls have chest hair.
It may be his first time ever viewing a chest in any realm whatsoever.
Well, if he would have looked at Kim's pictorial, he would have known that women don't look like that.
That's true. He could have done it.
He was so close.
Yeah, the killer is dressed in Melissa's / Kim's nightie, and Sean does not seem troubled by this revelation. What becomes a problem is when the killer lifts Sean above his head, WWE style.
Yes, gorilla press.
The body slams him into a piece of spiky modernist furniture.
Yes, Dennis and I had the exact same note on this one. Dennis, you want to hit it?
Yeah, it was a sculpture made by Delia Dietz from Beetlejuice. That's exactly what it looked like.
That just happened to be sitting there by the bed.
Yeah.
If you were ever wondering where Delia was actually offloading a lot of her art, it was to find furniture in downtown LA. So he's dead, but if you keep watching, I promise you that corpse is breathing a lot.
Yes.
We later learn that John is a 2-pump chump. That's just information the film decides to tell us.
And she's really angry about it.
Yes. But also instructive. And she's like, okay, but sometimes I would like A, the sex to last longer than 10 seconds, and B, not to go from 0 to 10 seconds to over.
Yeah.
that is helpful instruction. She's also looking forward to marrying this person.
I have to say, and this is honest to God a true story, at this point in the film, I was so convinced there had to be a Riff Tracks version that I paused it and went on the website, like just hoping beyond hope that I could find it and it would make it more entertaining, and was shocked to find they haven't done this. So Riff Tracks, you'll be getting an email from my lawyer.
It feels like they've done so much and yet obviously too little, because they have not riffed over this. It just needs help. You shouldn't watch it cold. I don't think you should watch it.
Good advice, I think.
Agreed. And yet I convinced the three of you to do it.
And we're all the more richer for it.
Yeah. Well, not if you paid for it.
That's true.
Again, it's also on Tubi.
So I think it's like right after this too, because they're sort of interjecting every now and then the typical, the killer is watching us. The sort of Jason kind of thing, that we get this soundtrack ? That like consists of one cello that's apparently played by an elementary school kid, just like plucking a note over and over again. Like, it's very strange.
If you were ever wondering what would have the Psycho, signature soundtrack have sounded like if Benny had just said, all the other strings out, just one cello.
Exactly.
You're going to hear it.
Soundtrack courtesy of Billy, age 7.
He's second chair. The group of now 6 has a dinner of room temp chicken and beer and decide to hunt down Sean and Melissa.
You know what would have goosed that up a little bit? Scallions. Fred was onto something.
All they needed were some, but someone decided to take all of them out of the company.
Selfish son of a bitch.
My favorite part of them making a plan is they huddle up and whisper as if who the fuck would be listening in on them. My next note is this movie makes Intruder feel like Wait Until Dark. Now, Intruder is an entertaining film. Maybe a little slow to start, maybe a little awkward, but it's doing all the things this movie wants to do successfully. And also, they brought lights to set.
Exactly. They wanted people to see their scenes.
Yes. This movie may have a world record for the amount of interrupted sex scenes. Everyone is interrupting another sex scene over and over and over again.
I wonder if you approached it from the standpoint of like, that's a drinking game, if it would have made this remotely entertaining.
You would have passed out by the 60-minute mark.
That and the amount of time somebody gets in the freight elevator, which at one point I wrote down, is this like a fedora farce? Like, what's going on?
The elevator that when it stops, it makes a sound like someone's closing a bank vault.
Yes. Yes. And then it's a distinct clank noise that it likes to make. There is a point to that, but also just fucking aim a light at shit, guys.
Anything. The scenery, the actors, a shoe, I don't care. Light
someone swatch a busted elbow, I don't care. I just want to see something. Our killer taunts John, the guy whose dad owns this furniture store, into chasing him via mooning, and then dispatches him after what feels like a goddamn eternity of those cello stabs and stage punches. And finally, he impales John with a mannequin arm. But when we see it later, it looks like he just impaled him with a couple mannequin fingies.
This is the one that I wrote down. I'm not exactly sure how this was supposed to have worked, but it was at least something original in this film. I was like, well, I haven't seen that before. I'll give you that.
Rarely have eyeballs witnessed such a thing.
One thing I was mentioning to Dennis that I was like, what in the holy hell? When John is dying, like he sort of grasps the mannequin arm and, kind of moans for a second and then goes, "Gah!" and like reaches towards the screen. And I was like, was there a hot second where they thought they were going to release this in 3D or like what's going on?
I don't think so. I almost feel like he stepped on something.
Cut. No, it's fine. Keep rolling.
Well, obviously, he couldn't see where he was walking. Absolutely
no one could see where they were walking. He probably busted multiple toes. It is revealed that the killer has matching foot tattoos to the Fred's hand tattoos. So, foot fetish dudes, this Flintstone moment is for you.
Now, not to get too far ahead, but the reason why they have matching tattoos is because they were roommates in prison? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
As
Apparently they got very professional prison tattoos.
They look good.
One on the hand, one on the foot. That being said, the tattoo, I don't understand it. It's a two-headed snake, but the cobra heads kind of feel like floral arrangements. I don't get it.
It's an acid trip of a tattoo.
I kept thinking it looked like the one-eyed snakes insignia in Bob's Burgers, the biker gang in that. I was like, well, that would at least make it entertaining.
The only other confused snake tattoo moment we've really had on the show is when we covered Cobra, where Marion Cobretti has a snake who's coming out from his waistline because I guess his penis is a snake. I still don't get that one.
I'm going to go with they were big fans of and this was, their homage to Dirk Benedict halfway through transition to snake. So
again, a movie with better lighting and better snakes.
Exactly.
David and Judy, do you remember who they are? Who
No
fucking
idea.
cares?
No idea.
They go up to the third floor where we're treated to a guitar solo as Judy strips that will haunt my dreams and live in my nightmares.
Yeah, Judy basically goes, these long ass like board shorts that I'm wearing, I'm going to keep them on, but I'm going to add heels. That's the angle.
Check this out. Then I'm losing the pastel top. Then when the jorts drop, shit gets real. And by real, I mean they just cut away and I guess they have sex. Who
She's
the
like,
fuck
was
knows?
that sexy?
And he's kind of like hesitant to answer because what is the right answer?
So do you want me to be honest? Like, what do I do here?
Like, I like that you're getting naked, but I did not enjoy the process, I guess.
I mean, A for effort, I guess. But
I mean, the B compared to the A, I'm all for, but the walk to get there.
Yeah. In this case, it truly was the destination over the journey.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, on a different floor, Kim gets dressed on camera. Be okay with that. She gets dressed. You get to see everything before she puts clothes on, leaving Randy unconscious post the lovin'. But when she returns from the restroom, which is apparently in the middle of the fucking sales floor, or she just took a pee inside a prop toilet, which is what I'm hoping. Our killer is dressed in Randy's clothes, and he appears to have the same haircut. And I'm wondering what fucking mannequin had that dude's haircut. Where's that wig from?
yeah, I mean, it's a good time to point out, I don't think we've done this yet, this guy is balding, like pretty severely.
Yes.
So he's apparently like getting all these wigs from someplace, or like the mannequin heads, but we don't ever really see bald mannequins. So it's all just so confusing.
It is confusing, and it's meant to be scary in that you never know which one of these mannequins is really him just standing very, very still. But this isn't a card the movie plays, because that would imply that there was a plan. And I don't know that there was. I think they showed up and used up the film they had that day and said, all right. Also, Randy wakes up to find that he doesn't have any clothes. The good news is he finds a spare pair of pants on a different mannequin and puts back on his bolo tie. Why? I know him from haircut. I don't need bolo tie. I barely noticed the bolo tie before. And now he's acting like the only way people are going to recognize me is bolo tie.
And this is the point at which the director suddenly cares about distinguishing the characters.
Yeah, right.
After all we've been through so far.
Because otherwise, they're just something that light doesn't pass through, and there isn't much light.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like aloe or skins, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. With Shop Pay, that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts are going abandoned and way more sales happening. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skins uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
There's a whole lot that happens here over the course of this search for random people.
Yeah.
First of all, there's acting, and then there's jutting arm movements,
Yes.
and then there's emoting. Also, Kim is now tied up naked and on top of an elevator with
Yes.
her mouth taped shut. Where the fuck did this dude get tape?
And there's also a shot of the teens when they're trying to figure out what's going on and where everybody is, running right past the goddamn killer. Like you can literally see his shadow. And
Yeah.
I think my note was, I want to slap this movie so hard right now.
The movie is trying to give the illusion that they can't distinguish the mannequins from real people. But also, you can very easily distinguish mannequins from real people. It isn't hard.
Yes,
I
yeah.
do it all the time, and I'm a fucking idiot.
It makes your time at Target more pleasant, I can tell you.
I think they appreciate it, honestly.
Patrick goes around going, real person, mannequin, 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 real person.
What they don't like is when I do it with a bullhorn, and they ask me to stop.
I need you to leave,
Sir, can you please leave the store?
I'll leave when I'm done identifying all these mannequins. Mannequin! At this point, Bonnie is screaming nonstop. She just has turned her dial to 11, and it doesn't matter whether or not the scene calls for it or whether or not it's motivated. It's just something that's happening. And then David gets the idea to send up the elevator one floor to fool the intruder, but they find the killer dancing in Kim's clothes when they reach that floor, complete with the same giggle that he exhibited earlier for Melissa. It does not fool anyone.
And this is, like the 17th time in this film that they've used this freight elevator, which is really the unsung hero, I think, of this movie, and has probably better acting than any of the characters in it.
I mean, that clanking is just like stunning.
They discovered that the phone line has been cut, that the doors have been chained, but we know this from previous scenes. They don't know it, but we get to discover them discovering this because we really want to live in it.
And am I right in this? Because I watched this twice and I was like, I could look for this a third time, but I'm simply not going to. Doesn't he also, and maybe this happens a little bit later, but he cuts the electrical? And I bring this up because it will tie into something towards the end where the director just clearly went, screw it, I don't care anymore.
I don't know what benefit he gets from cutting the electrical, because the same lights then turn on, only red.
Yes, all of their emergency lighting is red for some reason.
For reasons. Who cares?
Yeah. And this is this before or after we get our first of two window?
The electricity is cut after the window sequence. The window sequence happens right now, and the group tries to alert anyone on the outside, and they see a unhoused individual looking in a trash can, and then that unhoused person is harassed by the LAPD doing what they do best.
Who is apparently turning on that street and driving while looking completely to the left.
Yes.
Yes.
You and I, Patrick, made the same note, which is the cops show up and hassle the unhoused person, but don't stop the murder of teens.
Well, I mean, what do you want them to do?
Accuracy
They
and
just
filmmaking.
absolutely do not see these people frantically jumping up and down and waving in the storefront of a furniture store.
What you don't know about this, Gina, and this is only because you're a New Yorker and not an LA person like the three of us, is that Crime Alley is on the left.
Oh, okay. All right. I see. Yeah, see here, it's on the right. So
Right.
They're like, we're going to look in the direction of where Bruce Wayne's parents were killed, and
right,
that's
exactly. It's like how it's like driving in Europe. Everything's on the complete opposite side.
Yeah, it's like toilet bowls, how
Exactly.
they swirl in a different direction in
Exactly.
Australia.
Use that extra U and favorite. Yes, you got it.
Exactly.
It's very explainable. And so the foursome now that are alive descend into the murder basement where all the atmosphere is. And for whatever reason, it's best lit set in the entire film. Like you can, there should not be that much lighting, and yet there is.
Yes.
As basements tend to be.
Yeah.
Always the most well-lit room in the place.
But it's the only place that has real atmosphere to it. And everyone is very dialed in to what's happening, except for Bonnie, who's just constantly screaming. And then, thank God, everyone here was waiting for it. This is when they find a corpse corpse in a closet.
Yes.
And they scream, and Bonnie stops screaming. I
Yes.
don't know. When it's time to scream, no scream. No scream, all scream from Bonnie.
That's the one thing she learned in business school, differentiate yourself.
That's right. They head upstairs to the work floor and they find John's dead body. He has been standing behind a cardboard box until they arrive. I guess the wind of them entering the room is what knocks him over. I still don't quite understand this.
I did respect that the makeup department did a penetration wound appliance on the side of his stomach. Like you only see it for a second, but I was like, well,
Yeah.
somebody was paying attention.
But it's also bloodless.
Yes, that's true.
All of the blood pooled inside of his body. And it also looks like, I hate to get technical here, but when you ram a mannequin arm into something, it goes in and the penetration wound come out.
Yes, was coming out the other way.
Are you afraid of penetration wound in, or am I supposed to be afraid of penetration wound out?
I like to think it's like a JFK moment where the implication is there was another killer running around in there somewhere.
That's all we need is another fucking
John got hit with the mannequin arm back and to the left.
And then they run into a very confused Fred,
Yes.
who they immediately peg as this must be the killer because they haven't seen this dude up until this point, and John is the only one who's aware of his existence, and so they club him over the head with a mannequin arm and beat feet.
Are these mannequin arms
Yes.
like? Are they like weighted? Are they like blackjacks? Because you could. I mean, I thought they were just like a hollow. I thought they were just plastic.
Yeah, apparently they're made of cement.
But they're like, being used to stab people. They're being used to hit people over the head.
They can do anything.
Now, when they run away from Fred after they tie him up or knock him out or whatever, is this the second window sequence?
Exactly.
Yes.
They have not tied him up yet, but this is where the second window sequence
This is my favorite moment in the entire film because
if you're going to watch any sequence,
Yes.
this is the one to watch.
they look outside of a window, once again seeking help, and across the street, there is a store labeled Telescopic Poles. And I was like, the weird ass specificity of, you know what would be there? A telescopic poles store.
Oh, man. Why couldn't they have spent the night in the telescopic pole store instead of the furniture store? That would have
The
been more
kills
fun.
would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
Come on.
And it would have been sexier if
Yeah.
I'm being honest.
So many different directions you could take that.
In addition to telescopic poles, we have a newsstand vendor who I would love to understand his business model of being open at 3 a.m. in downtown LA. He's also on the left, but unafraid of crime.
Well, there you go. Like every night the cops are stopping, buying magazines. Like, it's great.
He's got a built-in market there. But he ends up seeing them in the window and then calls the police in a voice so dubbed he might as well be saying, "Watch out for snakes."
You're like, now you're going to do ADR? So many opportunities prior.
They can afford one time, and it's to make this one black actor sound white as fuck.
Like Willy Wonka, one ADR is enough for anyone.
The foursome then curb stop Fred when they run into him again and hog tie him while he's unconscious. And I guess Randy was a Boy Scout. I mean, but also an unsuccessful one, because as much as they hog tie him, it is no time before he's out of that rope play. We get some primo acting from David over John's body. They go back to John's body. I don't know if this is out of sequence or they meant it to be like this, but at least this is a consistent character reaction, considering the half-eaten banana seduction he tried to work earlier.
I like to imagine the actor was like, Skip, I've been like goofy this whole, like, I just want one moment to really emote.
This is my best friend. And Randy's like, we need to find Kim. And Bonnie's like, is it time for me to scream some more and just flail? And they're like, you're going to do that anyway.
Yeah, there's just, all we need is just like a line of people just like standing there holding a pipe, one holding a gun.
Yes.
One holding a rope, just to, calm her
David,
down.
you're needed in the cockpit.
One holding a telescopic pole.
Yeah, exactly.
One holding a mannequin arm.
Oh, yeah. One holding an electric walk.
Just saying, it's like Chekhov's telescopic pole store. Like, you can't put it out there and not have the payoff.
So they decide the best way to find her is to get in that fucking elevator again. What they don't know is that she is naked, tied up on top of that elevator with tape across her mouth. And as they're ascending, she finally breaks free in the middle of a fight with the killer, who's, yes, wearing that fedora. And as she breaks out, she leans over the top of it to yell help. They can't stop the elevator for some reason. And in the only good effect sequence in this entire film, her entire head is decapitated between the floor and the ascending elevator.
Yes. And if you watch close enough, the mouth is articulated or puppeteered. Yes. And I was like, okay, that's pretty good. That's where all the money went, clearly, on this one, because it's a pretty good effect.
We get a pre-shunting look at Screaming Mad George effects.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It is the highlight here. And so I'm not sure why the elevator is working, but the emergency lights have. I also ran out of steam writing that.
Yeah, that was so they're not there yet, but the cops have been called by the newsstand guy, so they come into the building and then I guess stop and rewire the thing that Zach cut. So yeah, it's suddenly the lights are on again.
Part of every duo in the LAPD, there's one guy who has an electrician's license.
Yeah, his pocket full of wire nuts, just walking around waiting for his moment.
It's Jimmy's time to shine, baby.
Screw.
At least one of the greatest panning reaction shots that I have seen in the 8 years of doing this show is contained when that head comes off. None of the people know how to act, and they have been given zero guidance by anyone behind the camera. And pound for pound, the mannequins are better actors.
Like the one, I already forget the character's name. He's kind of got like one eye squint shut. Like he's watching a horror movie. Well, in a horror movie. And he's like kind of opening his eye, like, can I look yet?
The group is attacked again then by the killer, but Fred comes to their rescue. And we learn that Zach, the killer, and Fred were a couple in prison.
And this is when I sent a message to Patrick that says, oh boy, what? And what is in capital letters?
And I responded, you don't have to tell me what you're reacting to. I know exactly what it is.
We can text our anger to Patrick? Nobody told me that.
I text my anger to Patrick a lot.
I would have been doing that watching this whole movie.
I don't want you to piss away gold, but just writing notes, you might as well do it. We learned that Zach has decided to kill these rando teens because, and I quote, they were coming between us. They've just arrived.
Yes. And
You're burying the lead here.
Yeah.
In that Zach is in full leather guy from the Village People gear here.
Oh yeah.
Like he's got the studded straps and the leather pants, like he's about to go out clubbing.
Yeah, the nipple attachments. It's the whole McGill.
Well, it's the one furniture room that we never see in all of Fine Furniture, and that's this sort of naughty play S&M
the
room.
leather bar furniture room. So this does bring me, though, full circle back to what I brought up with our opening prostitute kill, which is why?
Right.
What was she in the way of?
Who knows?
Yeah, maybe Connie Collarbones was getting in between Zach and Fred. Who knows?
I guess.
But, like, you went out and found Collarbones. These kids have just arrived mere hours ago. What came between you was that Fred would rather eat that green onion-based stir fry downstairs than be with you anymore. So, yeah, I don't quite understand it. Certainly the movie doesn't, and it doesn't shed any light. Not that it would shed light on anything. No. That would cost money.
And if you want to know how insane Zach is, he's in the room, he's fighting with them, then he runs about 10 feet out of the room and then runs right back into the room. It's very, very strange.
Well, you have to get a running start.
Exactly.
Zach and Fred fight in a very weird manner. Fred is stabbed in the neck with his own hunting knife / walk utensil. And then Judy grabs a straight razor off the ground and she kind of faints at Zach. She kind of gives him a, hey, back off. And that's all it takes, because Zach then trips over Kim's decapitated head and falls 3 stories down an empty fucking elevator shaft.
And the way you just described it, Patrick, makes it sound dramatic and well structured. It is.
Yeah.
There's something about the editing, and I wish I could describe it. It is the most inauspicious death. Like it's the full resolution of this film, and it's so uneventful the way that it happens.
He just like whoops, and then he's gone.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is him not going all the way down, and a poof of smoke when he hits the bottom. And then it cuts back to the 4 of them. And by the looks of it, Judy's got a taste for murder.
That's right.
She has a smile on her face a mile wide. Like, who can I convince next to fall down an elevator shaft? This is my kink now.
It's better not awaken something. Oops, I already did.
Too late. All my sexual adventures involve elevator shafts.
It's like
now.
Bella Ramsey killing a zombie in Last of Us. Like, now I have a taste for it.
So the police finally arrive. Fred is awake long enough to tell John's dad the entire story before he just...
Who listens very sympathetically.
Yes, and I might add, Fred, he's a little quiet, but he delivers it pretty well for a dude that just had a hunting knife in his trachea.
And then dies immediately after telling the story.
He had just enough breath in his lungs to tell a
Right.
long, mournful story of his connection in prison and how it didn't work on the outside. And Zach just couldn't accept it. And John's dad's like, this is a tale as old as time.
I was going to say, who's among us?
Well, and
hasn't broken up with our prison boyfriend, and then he went crazy and killed a bunch of people.
And that's a moment to your point at the beginning, Patrick, of it not like really knowing what it wants to do, where they kind of chicken out. And in Fred's dialogue, he's kind of like, well, he was a friend, we were in the same cell together. And I'm like, so are you going for the romantic thing or are you not? Like, just make a decision, film.
Zach's character is absolutely targeted as like, I'm in a romantic relationship with you. Yes, it was under confined circumstances, but we meant something to one another. And Fred's like, yeah, but we're not in prison anymore. and frankly, this doesn't work out. Turns out you're a psychotic killer. You're going obviously back to prison. So this is not a concern we need to address right now. But I guess it is. And so the police arrive, they wheel everyone out. One of the paramedics takes a smoke break like he works in Crystal Lake. Again, ambulance drivers, never trust them. And then the rest of them take a laboriously long walk to their own ambulance. And then as the ambulance drives away, who's in the driver's seat? Zach and his streaked mascara.
Yeah, I was just watching it I was like, turn to the camera, look at the camera, now smile.
And turn. So you guys might, you would probably know this better than anyone else. I was trying to think, how often has this trope been done? And the only thing that immediately leapt to mind for me was Twilight Zone, the movie, at the end of the John Lithgow segment. And I was I was like, surely there have to be other examples.
There's
of this.
New Year's Evil ends that way.
Yes.
There are definitely other ones.
Halloween H2O ends the same way, and then it picks up in it ends the same way. He is driving away with Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode in the back, and then they have a whole fight where she decapitates him with an axe at the end. So it doesn't end on that, but the setup is exactly like this.
The other thing that's weird is, I don't know if you guys caught this, John's dad is helping them out to the ambulance. And I was like, your son is in there like impaled with a mannequin arm. Like, wouldn't you be with your son's bot? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
just
it's
weird.
like they forgot that character was the father of one of the kids, because he concerned, but not reacting in the way that someone whose child has been murdered would be reacting.
Yeah, and you also get Zach surviving after the elevator shaft, and I was like, well, if that's possible, maybe John and Sean and all the rest of them are alive. I mean, who's to say?
Yeah, they don't seem to have injuries that would necessarily kill them, with the exception of Kim. Kim's definitely dead. If Kim wakes up, we have a whole different kind of movie.
Then you got a reanimator thing going on, and I don't know. She marries Jeffrey Combs or something. Who knows?
Again, whomst amongst us. But this brings us to Choose Your Own Deathventure, where we decide of the deaths portrayed in this film, if you were forced to die in one of those ways, which one would it be and why? We have stabbed in the stomach and you just pass out in a very clean patch of alleyway. Head bashed into see-through sink that is filled with water for some reason. Impaled on a spiky modernist piece of furniture. Impaled by mannequin arm. Decapitated by elevator. Stabbed in the neck. And then I did write down trip over decapitated head into an empty elevator shaft, but he felt better. So I think last time I chose Dennis to go first. So this time I will choose Scott to go first.
Okay, I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm going to say killed by a previously dead killer while I'm on my smoke break. Because I don't think ambulance driver gets enough love.
We don't know how he gets
That's
it.
right.
That's true. You're killed off camera is what you're going
Yeah,
for.
killed off camera. I was just chilling, having a smoke. It just seems like a reasonable way to go.
True. I hate to say this, Scott. It's the coward's way out. But okay, sure. Go for it. If that's the way you want to be. Dennis, what say you?
I'm going to say by having my head shoved into a clogged sink over and over again, because, sure, I'm dying, but maybe I'm doing something useful like unclogging the sink. Who knows? I'd assume that's what the killer was doing, was trying to unclog the sink by shoving it in and out, in and out, in and out over and over again with Melissa's head.
You wouldn't think Melissa's head would have that level of suction action, but who's to say?
Mine does. Mine certainly does. Ask anyone.
And the way we learned that is a tale for another time. What do you have to say, Gina?
I'm going to be picked up and dropped on a piece of modernist furniture, because I just, I like his shirt. It's very 80s. I'm a fairly compact person, so it would be pretty easy to drop me on a spiky piece.
It's true. You are a smaller individual, so perhaps picking you up and gorilla pressing you, as Dennis mentioned earlier, might be more possible. Zach doesn't really demonstrate that level of strength after that, but in
he's
that
a
moment,
he's a very slight killer. He's not one of our more physically imposing
no,
killers.
he's about the same height as Sean. So it's a lot to take in that this is what he can do, but I guess he has variable strength. Of these things, none of them are really good, but I guess I'm gonna take stabbed in the stomach just because that's a really clean piece of alleyway.
And she looked very comfortable when she was down there.
Sleeping the sleep of angels, honestly. So that just about does it. Hey, Dennis and Scott, is there anything that you want to tell people where to find you or what you're doing online?
Oh, gosh. Well, I think Scott is registered in that one thing where they have to tell you live next to him legally.
Sure.
He's on that. He's on that website.
Yeah. So you can search me there. Yeah.
Well, that's why he's on the show, is to really spread it out.
Yeah. That's
and
funny.
then I think we have a podcast or something. I don't know.
We do have a podcast. Inside the Idiot Box. It's on all the podcast things. We have done 3 seasons so far over the course of 7 years. Is that how long we've been doing it?
Feels like it.
Only 3 seasons? Jesus Christ. Season 4 coming out soon. And we've recorded most of the episodes. Just, I got to edit out all the
Sure, we've
stuff,
said this before, but basically we watch things that we select that we remember from our childhood. And, so usually around the mid to late 80s to early 90s, and we kind of see if they're still as good as we thought they were back then. And the answer is almost always no. So I don't want to spoil anything, but
it's almost as if you're doing, I saw the TV glow, but again, like this movie, erasing the transness of that piece.
Yep.
And so, Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies and television, pop culture on my Substack, DinaWatchesThings.substack.com, and I am mostly on Blue Sky under Dina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Find our Patreon, where you can find bonus episodes, commentaries, and so much more. Rate and review us on your podcaster of choice. It helps us be seen and heard by more people. And of course, follow us on various socials, just not Twitter. Fuck that place. Anywho, don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. For myself, for Dennis, Scott, and Gina, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
so long.